The evening sun dipped low over the harbor, painting the water in shades of gold and orange. Boats swayed gently with the tide, their ropes creaking softly against the wooden posts. Michael walked slowly along the dock, his boots scuffing the weathered boards. He carried the weight of the day on his shoulders, just like he carried the weight of his life. Michael was a mechanic, one who had learned the trade from his late father. The shop they once ran together still stood on the edge of town, its faded sign reading, "Harbor Repairs." The sign was crooked, the paint chipped, and sometimes Michael wondered if it was a mirror of his own life. Still standing, but worn down. Business had not been good. Fewer people trusted small shops now. They preferred bigger companies with polished advertisements and shiny equipment. Michael had only his old toolbox, his steady hands, and the stubborn honesty his father had drilled into him. "Do the job right, son," his father had always said, "even if it takes longer, even if it costs you more. Honesty is the only tool that never breaks." Michael believed those words. Yet lately, honesty didn't seem to pay the bills. He had spent the whole day trying to repair an old truck engine. When he closed the shop in the evening, his stomach reminded him he hadn't eaten since morning. But he didn't want to go home. His home was just a small rented room with peeling paint, and sitting there alone only made him feel the silence louder. So, instead, he walked to the harbor. The sea, at least, gave him company. As he reached the middle of the dock, Michael noticed someone. A woman stood beside a boat, her brow furrowed, her hands pressed on her hips. The boat itself was not small, but not grand either, just a modest vessel with a motor at the back. Smoke curled from the engine, dark and angry. The sound of repeated, failing attempts to start it filled the air. Michael paused. He could tell by the way she handled the controls that she wasn't familiar with engines. She looked frustrated, a little lost. The harbor was quiet. Most fishermen had already gone home, leaving her alone. Michael's first thought was to keep walking. He was tired, and this wasn't his problem. But something inside him resisted. He remembered the countless times strangers had helped him when he was younger, like when his father fell ill and neighbors brought food. He couldn't just leave her. He cleared his throat gently, not wanting to startle her. "Need a hand?" The woman turned sharply. She had kind eyes, though worry darkened them. Her hair was tied back loosely, strands escaping in the sea breeze. She studied him for a second, perhaps wondering if she could trust him. Finally, she gave a small nod. "Yes, please. I've been trying for hours, but it just won't start." Michael walked closer. The boat's motor was old, but not beyond saving. He could tell from a glance. "I'm Michael," he said simply. She hesitated a moment before replying. "Anna." Michael crouched down beside the motor. He touched it carefully, like a doctor examining a patient. He listened as he asked her to try starting it again. The motor sputtered, coughed, and groaned, but didn't run. "Sounds like the carburetor is clogged," Michael muttered to himself. He reached for his toolbox, the one he carried almost everywhere just in case. The box was scratched and rusty, but it still held the tools he trusted. Anna watched as he worked. She noticed his hands, rough, strong, with small scars that told stories of years spent fixing broken machines. But his movements were steady, patient. He didn't complain, didn't sigh heavily, didn't make her feel foolish for not knowing what to do. He just worked. For nearly an hour, Michael adjusted, cleaned, and tightened. The sky deepened from orange to purple. Lights flickered on around the harbor, glowing softly against the water. Anna stayed nearby, sometimes asking questions, sometimes just quietly observing. Finally, Michael leaned back, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. "Try it now." Anna turned the key. The engine roared to life, smoother this time. Her eyes widened in surprise and relief. She turned it off quickly, then looked at him with gratitude. "You fixed it," she said softly. Michael shrugged, almost embarrassed. "It wasn't too bad. Just needed some care." She reached for her purse. "How much do I owe you?" He shook his head. "Don't worry about it right now. Just promise you'll take care on the water." These engines can be tricky if not serviced often. Anna blinked. She was used to people asking for money immediately. Some even tried to charge her double when they saw she looked well off. But this man, with his tired eyes and worn clothes, refused payment without hesitation. "You're sure?" she asked carefully. Michael gave a small smile. "I didn't help you for money. You needed help. That's enough reason." For a moment, Anna said nothing. She simply studied him. There was something rare about the way he spoke, something steady and real. She had met many people in her life, people who smiled too quickly and spoke too sweetly when they realized who she was. But Michael had no idea, and she wasn't about to tell him. Not yet. Instead, she extended her hand. "Thank you, Michael. You've saved me tonight." He shook her hand briefly, his grip firm but respectful. "Safe travels, Anna." Michael picked up his toolbox and began to walk away. Anna watched him disappear down the dock, his shoulders still carrying a quiet heaviness. She felt a strange pull in her chest. Something told her this was not the last time she would see him. As for Michael, he returned to his small rented room that night, hungry but oddly content. He didn't know who Anna truly was. He didn't know that fixing her boat would soon change the course of his entire life. All he knew was that for once his hands had done more than repair a machine. They had given someone hope, and sometimes hope was worth more than money. The morning sun rose over the small town, sending light across the harbor. Michael was already awake, standing in his workshop with his sleeves rolled up. His shop smelled of oil and metal, the air filled with the quiet sound of clinking tools. He had another long day ahead, repairing machines that barely paid for his rent. As he tightened a rusty bolt on an old engine, he heard footsteps at the door. Michael turned and saw Anna standing there holding a paper bag. She wore a simple jacket, her hair pulled back in the same easy way as before. Michael blinked in surprise. "Anna, everything all right with the boat?" She smiled. "The boat is fine. I came to bring you breakfast." He frowned slightly, wiping his hands on a rag. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," Anna said firmly. She set the bag on the workbench. The smell of warm bread and coffee drifted out. "You skipped dinner last night, didn't you?" Michael chuckled quietly. "Maybe." He sat down on a wooden stool, his body tired. She handed him a sandwich, and though he wanted to refuse, his empty stomach convinced him otherwise. As they ate, Anna looked around the shop. The walls were lined with old shelves, crowded with spare parts. Tools were neatly arranged, though most were worn from years of use. A faded picture of an older man, Michael's father, hung above the workbench. His smile in the photograph was warm, proud. "This was your father's shop?" Anna asked gently. Michael nodded. "Yeah. He taught me everything I know. When he passed away, I promised myself I'd keep this place running." Anna studied his face as he spoke. His voice carried both pride and pain. "It must be hard running it alone," she said. Michael sighed. "It is. Business is slow. Big companies take most of the work now. But I don't want to give up. This shop, it's all I have left of him. And I want to stay honest in my work. My father always said, do it right, even if it takes longer." Anna felt something stir in her chest. She had met many people who only spoke about success, money, or fame. But Michael spoke about honesty like it was treasure. His shop might have been small, but his heart seemed larger than anything money could buy. "Not many people think like that anymore," she said softly. Michael shrugged. "Maybe not. But I'd rather fix one engine honestly than fix 10 with lies." For a moment, the shop was quiet except for the hum of the outside street. Anna's eyes lingered on him, and she wondered again if fate had brought her to this place. Later that afternoon, Anna returned with her boat. This time she pretended it needed another small adjustment. In truth, she only wanted to see him again. Michael didn't question her much. He simply took his tools and checked the motor carefully. As he worked, Anna leaned against the side of the boat. "Michael, do you ever wish for more?" she asked suddenly. He looked up. "More? More than this," She gestured around them. This small town, this shop, this life. Michael paused, thinking. Of course, sometimes I dream of more. Who doesn't? But then I remember, my father built this life with his hands. He gave me honesty, hard work, and pride. Even if I never get rich, I still have those things, and that's enough for me. Anna's heart tightened. In her world, people chased money endlessly. She had seen friends lose themselves in greed, families broken over inheritance, strangers smiling only when there was profit. But here was a man who valued honesty above wealth. She couldn't help but admire him. You're different, she whispered. Michael laughed lightly. Different? Or just stubborn? Both, Anna said with a smile. As days passed, Anna visited more often. Sometimes she brought food, sometimes she pretended her boat needed a small repair, and sometimes she just came to talk. Michael found her company comforting, though he didn't say it aloud. He noticed her laughter, her curiosity, and the way she listened without judgment. One evening, while Michael worked late, Anna asked, "Why do you never ask for more payment?" Michael tightened a screw carefully before answering. Because people here don't have much. I'd rather help them than push them deeper into trouble. Sometimes I get paid in food, sometimes in favors. Money comes and goes, but trust, that's worth more. Anna's throat tightened. She thought of her own life. She had grown up surrounded by wealth, but rarely by trust. People often saw her family name first, not her heart. For years, she had searched for someone honest, someone who wouldn't change when money was mentioned. And here in this quiet harbor, she felt she had finally found such a person. Michael, she said softly, you don't know how rare you are. He glanced at her, confused. I'm just a mechanic. No, Anna whispered. You're much more. Michael didn't understand the depth of her words. To him, she was just a kind woman who needed help with her boat. To Anna, he was a spark of hope in a world she thought had lost its honesty. That night, when Anna left the shop, Michael stood at the door watching her walk away. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, one he hadn't felt in years. Life was still hard, his shop was still struggling, but somehow Anna's presence made the world feel less heavy. He didn't know her story. He didn't know the secret she carried, that she was not simply a woman with a boat, but a billionaire searching quietly for someone she could trust. He only knew that when he looked at her, he felt seen, and when he worked on her boat, he felt useful again, and for Michael, that was enough. As Anna walked home under the evening sky, she whispered to herself, maybe I've finally found him. The waves at the harbor carried her words away, but the truth remained. Their meeting had been no accident. Something greater was unfolding, and neither of them fully understood it yet, but both could feel it, like a tide slowly rising, promising change. The harbor was quiet that morning, the air cool and fresh. Michael stood outside his workshop, sipping from a chipped mug of coffee. He watched the fishing boats glide out to sea, their nets stacked high, their crews calling out to one another. Life went on as it always did, though for Michael each day felt heavier with his struggles. He set the mug down on the workbench and began another long day of repairs. The shop was filled with half-finished jobs, an old generator, a small tractor engine, and a car that hadn't started in weeks. Each machine reminded him of unpaid bills waiting to be collected. But before he could dive into work, he heard the familiar sound of footsteps outside. Turning, Michael saw Anna again. She carried another paper bag, her smile warm and easy. "Morning," she greeted. Michael smiled back faintly. "Morning, Anna, you're here early. I thought you could use some company. And maybe some food," she teased, placing the bag down. He opened it to find fresh muffins and a thermos of hot tea. "You keep feeding me," Michael said, shaking his head with a small laugh. "Maybe I just enjoy watching you forget to take care of yourself," Anna replied gently. Michael ate slowly, feeling grateful, but a little uneasy. He wasn't used to kindness given so freely. Most people came to him only when they needed something fixed, but Anna, she came even when there was no engine to repair. Later that afternoon, as Michael finished adjusting a stubborn motor, Anna asked him a question that caught him off guard. "Michael, do you ever take a break?" He chuckled. "Break? What's that?" She gave him a pointed look. "I mean it. You work all day, every day. When was the last time you did something for yourself? Michael thought for a moment. He couldn't remember. Since his father's passing, his life had been nothing but the shop, debts, and survival. I guess it's been a while, he admitted. Anna smiled knowingly. Then you should come with me tomorrow. I want to take the boat out for a short trip. Nothing far. Just a ride along the water. You've been helping me so much. It's only fair I invite you. Michael hesitated. The idea of leaving his work behind for even a day made him uneasy. But there was something in Anna's voice, gentle, hopeful, that softened his hesitation. All right, he said finally, but only for a little while. Anna's smile brightened and Michael felt something shift in his chest, though he couldn't explain what it was. The next morning, Michael arrived at the dock. The air was crisp, the water sparkling under the sun. Anna was already waiting by the boat, adjusting ropes with practiced hands. She looked up as he approached. I wasn't sure you'd come, she admitted. I almost didn't, Michael said honestly. But I figured I owed myself a break. She laughed. Good, then let's go. Michael stepped aboard carefully, the boat rocking under his weight. Once they pushed away from the dock, the world seemed to quiet. The hum of the motor blended with the sound of waves, and the town slowly shrank in the distance. For the first time in months, Michael felt a sense of freedom. The open water stretched endlessly, and the fresh air filled his lungs like a gift he had forgotten. He leaned back, letting himself breathe. This is nice, he admitted. Anna smiled, her eyes shining. Sometimes the sea reminds us there's more to life than work and worry. Michael studied her for a moment. She spoke with such ease, yet there was something deeper in her tone, something unspoken. As the boat drifted further, they began to talk. Anna asked about his childhood, and Michael shared stories of his father teaching him to repair engines. He spoke of long summers in the shop, the smell of oil and metal, and the pride he felt when he fixed his first motor. My father used to say, Michael recalled with a small smile, machines are like people. If you listen carefully, they'll tell you what's wrong. Anna laughed softly. He sounds wise. He was, Michael said quietly, his smile fading a little. I miss him every day. Anna's heart ached for him. She wanted to tell him she understood loss, that she too carried a weight of responsibility, but she held back. For now, she only wanted to listen. And you, Anna? Michael asked. What about your family? She hesitated. They're far away. My life has been different. I've spent more time in meetings than in places like this. Sometimes I wonder if I miss the important things. Michael looked at her curiously. Meetings? What kind of work do you do? Anna paused, choosing her words carefully. She couldn't reveal the truth yet. I help with family business. It's complicated. Michael didn't press further. He respected her silence just as she respected his. They spent hours on the water. Michael learned how to guide the boat under Anna's instructions, his hands steady on the wheel. They laughed when waves rocked them, and for a while the world felt lighter. As the sun began to set, they returned to the dock. The sky glowed pink and orange, the water shimmering in reflection. Michael helped tie the boat, his hands quick with the ropes. Thank you for coming, Anna said softly as they stood side by side. Michael nodded. Thank you for inviting me. I didn't realize how much I needed this. Their eyes met, and for a brief moment neither spoke. The air between them carried an unspoken connection, something fragile yet undeniable. That evening, after Anna left, Michael sat in his workshop long after dark. He thought about her words, her laughter, the way the sea had felt under the open sky. For the first time in years, he had allowed himself to simply live, not just survive. He didn't know why Anna had come into his life, but he was grateful she had. She was different from anyone he had ever met, and though he didn't know her secret, he sensed she carried a story far greater than she let on. For now, he only knew this. When Anna was near, the world seemed brighter, and in his heart he hoped she would keep coming back. The days passed quickly after the boat trip. Michael found himself thinking about Anna more than he wanted to admit. He would look toward the harbor whenever footsteps echoed near his workshop, half expecting her to appear, and often she did. Anna came with small excuses at first, asking him to check the boat's motor again, bringing food, or simply stopping by to see what he was working on. But soon there were no excuses at all. She came because she wanted to. Michael didn't mind. In fact, her visits brightened his long days. He began to notice little things about her. The way her laugh softened the air in the shop. The way she listened carefully when he spoke. The way her eyes carried both kindness and secrets. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Anna leaned against the side of his workbench while Michael cleaned a carburetor. She watched him in silence for a while before asking, "Michael, do you believe people ever hide who they really are?" Michael glanced at her curiously. "Of course. Everyone wears masks sometimes. Some people hide their pain. Others hide their true selves because they're afraid of being judged." Anna looked down at her hands, her fingers tracing the edge of the table. "And if someone was hiding a very big part of their life, would you think less of them?" Michael put down the tool he was holding. He thought carefully before answering. "I don't think less of anyone for hiding. We all have reasons. Some truths are heavy and not everyone is ready to share them." Anna lifted her eyes to him. His words were simple, yet they touched her deeply. She had been carrying the weight of her secret since the day they met. She had wanted to test him, to see if he was truly different from the others, and he had proven it over and over with his honesty and kindness. "Michael," she said softly, "there's something I haven't told you." He tilted his head. "What is it?" Anna took a deep breath. Her heart pounded in her chest. "I'm not just someone with a broken boat. My family owns a company, a very large one. I'm not an ordinary visitor in this town. I'm a billionaire's daughter." The shop fell silent. Michael stared at her, stunned. For a moment he thought she might be joking, but the seriousness in her eyes told him otherwise. "You're serious?" he asked finally. Anna nodded. "Yes, I don't usually tell people. Because once they know, they treat me differently. They see money first, not me. That's why I came here quietly without anyone knowing. I wanted to find someone who could look at me and see a person, not a fortune." Michael rubbed the back of his neck, unsure what to say. His thoughts raced. He remembered her kindness, her laughter, her simple clothes, the way she had stood helpless beside her boat. Nothing about her had seemed like the daughter of a billionaire. Why tell me this now?" he asked slowly. "Because," Anna said, her voice trembling, "I think you deserve the truth. You've never once asked me for money. You've never tried to take advantage. You helped me because you're honest, and I trust you." Michael sat back, his hands resting on the workbench. He didn't feel angry, only overwhelmed. Part of him wanted to walk away, convinced he didn't belong in her world. But another part of him, the stronger part, saw the same Anna who had smiled at him, who had listened to his stories, who had brought him food when he was too tired to cook. "You could have kept hiding it," he said gently. "I wouldn't have known." "I didn't want to," Anna replied firmly. "Not from you." Michael met her gaze. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was heavy, filled with truth that could not be taken back. The next day, Michael woke with her words still echoing in his mind. Billionaire, company, fortune. These were things far from his world of grease and broken engines. Yet when he thought of Anna, he didn't see wealth. He saw the woman who had laughed beside him on the boat, the woman who had listened when he spoke of his father. When Anna arrived at the workshop later that morning, Michael greeted her quietly. He didn't know what to say, but Anna understood. "Michael," she said carefully, "I didn't tell you this to scare you. I told you because I want you to know who I really am, but I'm still me. I'm still Anna." Michael nodded slowly. "I believe you, but it's a lot to take in." "I know," Anna whispered, "and I don't expect you to accept it all at once." Michael studied her face, searching for any sign of pride or arrogance, but there was none. She looked vulnerable, almost afraid. For the first time, he realized that wealth could be a burden too. "Anna," he said softly, "I don't care about your money. I never did. You. That's enough for me." Her eyes filled with relief. "Thank you, Michael. You don't know how much that means." That evening, Anna invited Michael to join her for dinner at a small cafe near the harbor. They sat by the window watching the lights reflect on the water. "I want to tell you more," Anna said, "about why I'm here. I'm not just hiding. I came with a purpose. I want to start something that helps small workshops, small businesses, people like you, who are hardworking and honest but often forgotten. My family has money, yes, but I want to use it for something real." Michael listened carefully. He had never imagined someone like Anna would care about people like him. "And you," Anna continued, "you're exactly the kind of person I've been searching for. Someone honest, someone who knows the value of hard work. I need your help, Michael. Not as a mechanic, but as someone I can trust. Michael's heart pounded. He didn't know if he was ready for such a responsibility, but he also knew he couldn't ignore the sincerity in her voice. I don't know if I'm the right person, he admitted. Anna reached across the table, her eyes steady. I believe you are. Michael looked at her hand, then at her face, and for the first time in a long time he felt something stronger than fear. He felt hope. That night, as Michael walked home, he thought about the path ahead. His world was small, simple, and struggling. Hers was vast, powerful, and filled with expectations. Yet somehow their worlds had met on a quiet dock, beside a broken boat, and now their story was only beginning. The sun rose over the small town with a gentle glow, painting the harbor in soft light. Michael arrived at his workshop early, his hands already greasy from the morning's repairs. Despite the hum of the town waking around him, his mind wandered back to Anna. Her words from the night before lingered in his mind. She wanted him, not just to fix engines or repair boats, but as someone she could trust, someone who valued honesty above everything. The thought made him nervous. He had lived a simple life, quietly repairing machines, rarely stepping outside the small world he knew, and now she was asking him to step into something far bigger. He shook his head, trying to focus on work, but his thoughts kept drifting. What did she truly expect of him? Could he handle such responsibility? Michael had always fixed engines, not managed programs or projects. Yet a part of him, a quiet, stubborn part, felt a spark of excitement. This could be the change he'd been waiting for. Later that morning, Anna arrived at the workshop. She looked as radiant as ever, though her casual clothes and easy smile made her appear approachable, far from the image Michael imagined when she had first revealed her wealth. Good morning, she greeted. I hope I'm not interrupting. Michael wiped his hands on a rag. Not at all. Just finishing up a few repairs. Anna set down a small folder on his workbench. I brought some details for you. I want to show you what I'm planning, and how you can be part of it. Michael raised an eyebrow, curious but cautious. Go on, he said, leaning against the workbench. Anna opened the folder carefully. Inside were pages filled with plans, sketches, lists, notes. I've been thinking about small workshops, she explained. Places like yours. People like you, who work hard but are often overlooked. I want to create a program to support them, not just with money, but with training, resources, and honest guidance. And I want you to be involved. Michael studied the pages, impressed by the thought and care she had put into this. He could see the potential to help many people, to make a real difference. But the responsibility frightened him. I don't know, he admitted. I'm just a mechanic. I've never managed anything like this. Anna reached across the table, her hand brushing his gently. That's exactly why I want you. You know what it's like to work hard and stay honest even when no one notices. You know the struggles that others face. That's more valuable than any degree or title. Michael felt a mix of pride and fear. He had never been recognized for more than his ability to repair machines. And yet, here was someone extraordinary, asking him to step into a role he had never imagined. Over the next few hours, Anna explained the program in detail. She wanted to provide funding for small workshops, offer training in modern techniques, and create a community where honest workers could thrive. She spoke passionately, her eyes bright, her hands moving as she described the possibilities. Michael listened carefully. He asked questions, pointed out potential challenges, and suggested improvements. He realized that his practical knowledge of everyday mechanics could actually be invaluable to her plans. He had experience that no theoretical training could replace. By the end of the discussion, both were leaning against the workbench, quiet but thoughtful. Michael, Anna said softly, I know this is a lot to take in. You don't have to decide right now, but I want you to consider it. I trust you and I believe you can help make this program successful. I just need someone honest, someone who won't be tempted by money or shortcuts. Michael nodded slowly. He felt the weight of her words, but also the excitement. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose beyond the small walls of his workshop. I'll think about it, he said finally. Anna smiled, her eyes filled with hope. That's all I ask. Days passed, and Michael couldn't stop thinking about the offer. Each time he worked on an engine or repaired a boat, he imagined what it would be like to help others like himself. He thought about the struggling workshops in the town, the people who worked tirelessly without recognition or reward. He realized that this program could change lives, not just financially but emotionally. People would feel valued, trusted, and supported. And he could be a part of that change. Still, doubt lingered. What if he failed? What if he wasn't good enough? What if his simple life wasn't enough for someone like Anna? But then he remembered the first day they met, the broken boat, the harbor, the quiet determination in her eyes. And he realized something important. Anna didn't care about titles or wealth. She cared about honesty, integrity, and heart. And he had those in abundance. Finally, Michael returned to the harbor to see Anna. She was standing beside her boat, watching the water ripple in the afternoon light. Her expression brightened when she saw him approach. "I've made my decision," he said quietly, unsure if he had the courage to follow through. Anna's eyes widened slightly. You will help?" Michael nodded. "Yes, I'll help. I don't know everything, but I'll do my best. If it can make a difference for people like me, then I want to try." Relief and joy lit up Anna's face. She stepped closer, placing her hand on his arm. "Thank you, Michael. You don't know how much this means. Together we can really make a difference." Michael smiled, a mixture of nervousness and excitement filling him. For the first time in years, he felt that his work had a purpose beyond survival. And beside him, Anna radiated hope, determination, and trust, a trust he had never been given so freely. Over the next weeks, Michael became deeply involved in the program. He visited small workshops, offering guidance, teaching techniques, and helping owners improve their operations. He worked long hours, sometimes starting before dawn and finishing after dusk. Yet for the first time, he didn't feel the weight of life pressing down on him. He had a mission, and it was meaningful. And Anna was always there, guiding him, supporting him, and believing in him. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset over the harbor, Anna turned to him. "Michael, you've done more than I expected. You've already helped so many people, and this is just the beginning." Michael laughed softly. "I never imagined my life would turn out like this. I was just fixing engines, hoping to survive. Now, I feel like I'm actually making a difference." Anna smiled, her eyes reflecting the fading light. "That's because you care. And because you're honest. That's something money can't buy. You've given people hope, Michael, and hope is the most valuable thing of all." He looked at her, a warmth spreading in his chest. He didn't need to think about wealth or status. He only needed to see the way she believed in him, and how he could believe in her too. And for the first time, Michael realized that his life had changed forever. Not because of money, not because of recognition, but because someone had seen his honesty, trusted him, and given him a chance to do something greater than himself. The morning sun glimmered over the harbor, casting a warm light across the water. Michael stood at the edge of his workshop, watching the boats gently sway with the tide. The air smelled faintly of salt and oil, a familiar scent that always reminded him of home and work. But now everything felt different. Since agreeing to work with Anna, his life had changed in ways he could not have imagined. The small, quiet days in his workshop had been replaced by visits to other small businesses, consultations with local workers, and the careful planning of projects designed to help struggling mechanics and shop owners. Every step he took seemed meaningful. Every engine repaired or problem solved no longer felt like a simple chore. It was part of something bigger. Anna arrived that morning in her usual casual attire, her hair loosely tied back. She carried a folder and a small bag of sandwiches, her usual breakfast gift that had become a comforting ritual for Michael. "Good morning," she greeted with a smile. "Morning," Michael replied, feeling a sense of calm he hadn't known in years. "Ready for another day?" Anna laughed softly. "Always, are you?" Michael nodded. "I think so, at least. I hope so." Anna studied him for a moment. "You're doing better than you think, Michael. You've inspired more people in these few weeks than you realize." Michael shook his head, half embarrassed. "I'm just helping the way I know how." "That's exactly why it works," Anna said. "You're honest, hardworking, and you care. That's something people notice even when they don't say it aloud." That morning, they visited a small workshop on the edge of town. The owner, an elderly man named George, had been struggling to keep his shop running after his apprentice had left. Michael guided George through repairing an old tractor engine, showing him tricks and techniques that would save both time and money. Anna watched quietly, smiling as she observed Michael's interactions. She had known he was talented, but watching him teach, inspire, and patiently work with others made her feel proud. Here was someone who embodied the very principles her family's wealth could never buy: honesty, skill, and heart. "You have a gift, Michael," Anna said softly as they left George's workshop. Michael shrugged. "I just know what it's like to need help. I want to make sure others don't struggle the same way I did." Anna's eyes glimmered. "And you are. Every day you're making a difference. That's more important than any machine you've fixed in your life." Michael smiled quietly. He had never thought of himself in that way. For years he had felt invisible, a simple mechanic trying to survive. Now, with Anna's trust and guidance, he felt seen for who he truly was. Over the following weeks, Michael and Anna worked tirelessly together. They visited workshops across the town, listened to the concerns of shop owners, and designed solutions that would help each one succeed. Michael taught practical techniques while Anna provided resources and support. Every evening, when the work was done, they would return to the harbor. The quiet moments beside the water became their reward, the time when they could reflect on the day, share ideas, and simply enjoy each other's company. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Anna spoke softly. "Michael, I want to thank you. Not just for helping me, but for believing in this program, for believing in people. You've given more than your skill, you've given hope." Michael shook his head, smiling. "I didn't do anything extraordinary. I just did what felt right." Anna reached for his hand, her touch gentle but firm. "What you did is extraordinary to me, and to everyone whose life you've touched. Sometimes honesty and kindness are the most powerful tools anyone can have." Michael looked out over the water, the sunlight dancing across the waves. He felt a deep sense of contentment, something he hadn't known for years. He realized that the life he once thought was small and unimportant had grown into something meaningful. Months passed and the program flourished. Small workshops began to thrive. Workers felt supported, and Michael's knowledge became a source of guidance for many. Anna's careful planning and Michael's hands-on experience created a partnership that worked seamlessly. Through it all, their bond grew stronger. They shared stories, laughter, and moments of quiet reflection by the harbor. Anna revealed more of her life gradually, trusting Michael completely, while Michael shared his dreams and fears openly. One afternoon, after visiting a newly renovated workshop, Michael turned to Anna. "You know," he said, "I never imagined my life could be like this. From struggling to keep a small shop open to this." Anna smiled, her eyes warm. "You earned this, Michael. You stayed true to yourself even when it was hard. You didn't change when things got difficult. That's why this works. That's why you matter." Michael looked at her, realizing something profound. He had not only found a purpose, but he had also found someone who believed in him completely, someone who trusted him without conditions. As the weeks turned into months, Michael's workshop expanded. He hired a few trusted workers and created a small training program for young apprentices. Anna continued to support the project, but she made sure Michael remained at the heart of every decision. One evening, as they stood on the dock watching the sunset over the water, Anna spoke quietly. "Michael, when I first came here, I wasn't sure I would find anyone honest enough to trust, but you showed me that there are still people who care more about doing what's right than what's easy. You've changed not just this program, but me too." Michael looked at her, feeling a warmth in his chest that went beyond pride or accomplishment. "And you've changed me too, Anna. You made me see that my life can be more than survival, that it can mean something." Anna smiled. "Then we've both found something we didn't expect." Michael nodded. "Yes, a new beginning." From that day forward, the harbor seemed different to Michael. Each boat, each engine, each workshop told a story of hope and hard work. And each time he worked, he remembered that it wasn't just about fixing machines, it was about helping people, believing in honesty, and making a difference. Anna and Michael continued their work together, not just as partners in the program, but as friends who had found trust and respect in each other. Their bond was built not on wealth, status, or appearances, but on shared values, honesty, and kindness.